And welcome to another quick time event. This time we're going to be talking about the Microsoft Scorpio. Early this morning, Microsoft partnered up with Digital Foundry and Eurogamer for the exclusive specs for the elusive console. And we have Felicia Vagabond with us.
Hello.
We have Russell of the Post Apocalypse podcast.
Bring back Ape Escape.
And we have Mr. Lee with us as well.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Awesome. Thank y'all for joining us. Off jump, I'll give a few of the details about the Scorpio, and then we'll just go into kind of our thoughts about it. There's a shit ton of teraflops. I still don't, they didn't fucking clarify what that means. So teraflops, more of them means good thing, and this has lots of good thing. But as far as the memory, the RAM, it's going to have 12 gigs, which is compared to Xbox One. Xbox One had 8. PlayStation 4 Pro also had 8. But between the Pro and Xbox One, Pro had DDR5, while Xbox One had DDR3. So there's a decent amount of speed improvement between those two, and clearly there's a larger gap between those two and the Project Scorpio. The GPU is actually a customized thing called the Scorpio engine, and it is built on AMD framework. I don't think I want to read off exactly what's in it because I don't even know what the fuck it means, but
I feel like that was the consensus across the board. So,
yeah, like a lot of this shit.
They had like an article that was like, so what does this all mean? And I was like, I'm clicking on that.
The things that we do to understand, it has a 1 terabyte hard drive, which is the same as the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it will have an optical drive, 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray drive, which the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 only have standard Blu-ray. The Xbox One S does have a 4K drive. So yeah, that's the basis of everything. It's gonna be super fast and shit. It's 2.3 gigahertz versus 1.75 for Xbox One and 2.1 for the PlayStation 4 Pro. So first off, before we go into any other theories, based off the specs that we were given, what do we think about the Scorpio? Felicia, start us off.
Okay, so it was an interesting video. I mean, they got really technical with it, which I found pretty interesting. And it was a very like unconventional way to do a tech reveal, I would say. Like just, you know, hey, in 2 days, we're going to do this video with Digital Foundry and talk about, you know, more about the specs on the Scorpio. And I mean, a lot of this stuff they kind of talked about during the announcement at E3 last year. They just got more in depth with it. And honestly, I kind of felt like it was a little like lackluster, honestly. I was looking more for like an actual like reveal. Like I wanted to see the console, because I mean it's been about a year since they first announced it, and in between that span of time we've got, you know, the PlayStation Neo, and then the PS4 Pro, and then the PS4 Pro released, and then the same with the Switch. Like the NX was revealed to be the Switch, and now the Switch is out. So all this stuff has happened, and we still only know like the specs behind the Scorpio. So I'm kind of,
We just know there's lots of flops.
yes, there's a lot of teraflops. And I want to know what games, like what can we expect? I know they said something about Fallout 4 VR. And there was like Forza some shit.
Did they say something about the Forza, the Fallout on the stream?
No, that was announced
On their video?
at the way back when at E3. They were like, oh, you know, Fallout 4 VR is coming to the Scorpio. But they didn't say anything about it today. So that's, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, see, a lot of people are kind of theorizing on if it's going to even have VR at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll have to see. What about you, Lee?
Yeah, just to piggyback a little bit on what Felicia said. Yeah, like the whole thing was kind of weird because it's pretty unconventional to do it the way they did with Digital Foundry. Like, I found that to be interesting. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I get it, because Xbox, this is their chance to kind of make a comeback. So they're making a big deal out of nothing and getting people to talk about it. I think this video, as kind of lackluster as it was, got people talking about it a little more than they would if it would have just been an article with specs on, in the article.
True that.
I also think that, to Felicia's point, this isn't really something that was amazing, and I'm more interested in the software, because although this is a powerful system, and like you said, it has like a gazillion flops, that means nothing if there's no software to back it up, and I think that that's where they failed the first time around. They were a little gimmicky with the first Xbox One, and they saw that kind of failed a little bit. They were a little arrogant going in. They're like, we got Xbox people. We have the best online experience. We could kind of toy around a little bit, where like PlayStation and Nintendo were like, hey, we're going to take a step back and kind of do video games and, worry about the apps and all that stuff later. Xbox was like, no, we're kind of like an all-in-one system. With this one, Phil Spencer is like making it a point to be like, hey, we want this to be easier for developers. Like, we want people to create games on our platform. So, yeah, like it's been interesting to see how this unfolds.
Word.
And I want to see what happens in E3. I think E3 is going to be the real like statement. If they fail in E3 and don't give us anything, then I really don't know how this is going to do at Q4 2017.
Understood. Before we get to Russell, we want to welcome Sharif Jackson of Gaming Looks Good and Spawn on Me. Welcome, sir.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing well. You right now, all we're talking about is just like the bare bones specs of the Scorpio. We haven't really gone into anything else yet, but everybody's given their thoughts on that. But Russell, go ahead.
I mean, I feel like I've talked about this before. Of course, not on this, but Xbox has clearly been moving towards this PC space. They see where the future of this is going, and and I feel like trying to acclimate consumers to like what all this means, even though they're not doing a great job explaining what a teraflop is and how many points you get it, and we'll get you the silver, the bronze, in the in the Olympics. I really think that this is this is moving into a PC space. That's why I think they did it with Digital Foundry, known for a lot of side by sides with with graphics cards and engines of that nature. Same with the PlayStation Pro, I think that there is a group of people that think to themselves like, well, it's been 3-4 years. I don't have a new Xbox to upgrade to. And there's not going to be anything wrong with the current Xbox. Like this is a product for the this is the bigger product for the people that will expand. And I have friends that bought a PlayStation Pro and they love it. Whether or not they needed it, I don't really, I can't really answer that. But this seems like the upgrade for the high-end consumer. This is the GTX Titan. Like, who needs a Titan? Well, you do, because of these reasons and because of all the flops.
All the flops, all of them.
Yeah, I really think that this is Microsoft trying to change the game. Maybe even Big Brother Microsoft coming in on little Xbox Microsoft. Coming in and saying like, well, this is the market that we do know. We know PC gaming. We know how to create specs for a PC game. For a PC gaming console, why don't we go that route? PlayStation is locked hardcore. Like a lot of the Xbox exclusives that have been coming out haven't been hitting home. And PlayStation, they had a big advantage with Resident Evil 7 having the VR. They had Horizon Zero Dawn, showered with a lot of praise, and they're winning in the spaces where Xbox would need to climb. Where they're winning, PlayStation 4 is winning where PlayStation 3 needed to win when they mounted their comeback. And Understood. I think Xbox is just changing the game. You saw that with the games for Xbox 10 or for Xbox Live 10.
Same thing.
Teraflop.
All right. Sharif, Sharif, what's your take?
Yeah, so I just finished recording Spawn on Me, so this is fresh on my mind. So I think that Microsoft has been very consistent from the initial Scorpio announcement. They talked about numbers and power. They didn't talk about this is going to be the best value. They didn't say this is going to be the best bang for your buck. They didn't say anything, I think, to attract a mainstream consumer that would sort of waltz into a store and buy a game system for, for their family or kids or like anything like that. So I think having this reveal be the specs and be, mostly numbers focused, and unless you're really a sort of, tech and computer nerd like I am, you probably, half of it probably goes over people's heads. And I think that's intentional.
Okay.
I really do believe that Microsoft is, they've been saying power, 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 and they're saying this is the most powerful console, at this time, just like Sony said with the Pro. But by saying that by having the specs show that this is a larger jump from the One to the Scorpio than from the PS4 to the Pro, and by, really not guaranteeing, but really saying a lot about 4K at 60 frames at top settings, which is not something even a lot of gaming PCs can do.
This is true.
And like I have a fairly high-end gaming PC, and you definitely can't do everything 4K at 60. So I think that they were very consistent with these specs. I think they are angling this, at least initially, to be a premium product for a premium consumer. I think it'll be priced appropriately for that.
That was going to be the next question.
And I think that they'll be like, we got the 1S, which is going strong. Well, obviously not winning the quote unquote war, but they're still, selling very well to make money, right?
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that they're just going for raw premium power, and they're like, if that's for you, cool. If it's not, then we got the 1S. So.
Got it. So, with all that being said, what does everyone think the price point would be? You can tell us what you hope it will be, and what you realistically think it will be with the specs that we have so far. Lee, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I would say probably, man, realistically, it's got to be around the $550, $600 range. I would think. Yeah, I would think. I mean, I think 500 might be where they would price this thing, considering what it has and what it can do. I think anything above 500 would be, steering into like I'm going to build my own PC territory. And that's kind of where they got to find that sweet spot. So I'm going to go ahead and make the prediction that'll be 500, I think.
Okay. All right. 500, probably $499 or so.
Yeah.
What about you, Russell?
$599 US.
$599.
No, that's the gag. I did the gag.
Get a second job to get.
Start to get Uber driving. Realistically, I think that if I'm going with the same argument that I had earlier, if we're going with the install base, that knows that they're going to get this, these are the people that day one when the Xbox One was terrible and came bundled with a stupid camera that doesn't work anymore. They paid $500 for it, and I think that they realized that the Xbox One launch was not a failure in any regards. If they put up those numbers with a Pro version, I mean, they'd be giving each other money fights. They'd be super happy about that. And I think that $500 is a good price, considering that it's going to be stronger than the PlayStation 4 Pro. And so, they're going to say that extra value is for that. Now, I'm sure there are going to be people who are saying like, well, Christmas time, this is how much it is. What can we get it down to?
Did you get out?
I think so.
Okay. Felicia, what about you?
I think 500 is a good number. Digital Foundry, when they were asked how much they think they would go for it, they said themselves that a good guesstimate would be $499. If I'm lowballing it, I think the lowest they'll go is 450. If I'm highballing it, 550. I mean, Microsoft kind of has come out to say, I forgot where I read this, but when I was doing my research today, I saw it, but they said they do want to retain, that value that console gamers look for. So with that in mind, I think $500 is kind of a good, it's not too much. It won't scare people away, but it's not low enough that, we're looking at the specs and being like, that doesn't look right,
Gotcha. What about you, Sharif?
Yeah, I think 500 maximum, I would say. Not because I don't think they could price it higher, because I think they could. And I think that the people that they're targeting will still buy it if it's 600, at least at launch. I think that, that kind of premium customer, will pay the extra to say, I got the big boy on the block. But I think 500 is a fair price, because I think that, like the Pro's at 400, it will probably get some kind of temporary, if not permanent, price drop. I'm anticipating around the holidays, assuming that Scorpio launches around the holidays. And I think that Microsoft, again, to stay consistent with this power message, wants to say, we're the most powerful, we're $100 more because we're the most powerful. I think if they inch too close to the Pro, I think it kind of hurts their messaging of being more powerful, because I think that people,
it cheapens it.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's that psychological part of it where like people are like, well, is it really? Because it's the same price, So like I do think that, yeah, I can see 500. I can't really see them going over that. Because I do think that, like traditionally they will take a loss on it, and try to make up, it with licensing and software and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think 500.
Okay. I personally I'm floating between 500 and 549 myself. Just because as a PC gamer, it is very hard to believe that they're going to price something that low that's that powerful, basically. Shout out to Paris from Gamer Tag Radio. We were having a discussion on Twitter. It was a bunch of us a part of it. And we were talking about the graphics cards and how expensive it would be to reach something that can do 4K 60 frames per second. And it'd be really pricey. I did a little bit more research after that, because there is an AMD card that's like $240 that can reach it with a little extra work put into it. But to really get to the point that this console is discussing, the graphics card itself would probably cost $500. So go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. It'd be like a 1080 Ti.
Right. So if me personally, and this, I guess it'll sound kind of stuck up, but people were saying, well, if the Scorpio can outperform a PC at this price point, then it obviously wins that battle. I disagree there, just because while yes, consoles offer a lot of simplicity when it comes to gaming, that is definitely much more appealing to their consumer base for sure. But I looked straight at the games, which this event was clearly not going to be about games. When Eurogamer and Digital Foundry were talking about it, they were clear it was going to be just about specs. But you can't help but to wonder if there are going to be a lot more games added to the Xbox One library that the Scorpio can take advantage of. Do y'all think that there's going to be a larger amount of games announced at E3 in June? Or do you think they're going to kind of just have one or two really, really big games and just ride the backwards rise to, or ride the backwards compatibility of it? Because the Scorpio is going to be able to play all of the old games too, and they're going to be enhanced as well. But what do y'all think of the software side of things when it comes to the Scorpio? Felicia?
So the software side, I actually wrote an article today I'm trying to pull that up just because I made some really good points there. Basically, it was like a Project Scorpio doesn't really blow away the competition yet. Hardware, of course, it beats everyone by a landslide.
Right.
But if we're talking about software, we don't really know much about software, and I think that's the most important part of it. Because if you have something that can perform at this top-notch, quality, and you don't have the system software that, is streamlined to handle it or whatever, or the games to really showcase that power, why are you spending that much money on something like that, right? And that's something Xbox One kind of struggled with. So I'm hoping, I mean, they've already said that, okay, Xbox One games are going to be compatible on this thing. Cool, awesome. But I'm more interested in what are they going to offer moving forward? That's really going to make me go like, wow. Like Forza Motorsport, cool. But I need more than that to be sold on it.
Gotcha. Russell?
Well, I guarantee you we're gonna get like one or two. We're either gonna get one or two games, or we're finally gonna get to know what the heck the HoloLens is, and if this is the system they've been waiting to put it out on. Are we gonna get Project Natal finally for HoloLens? Hopefully. That might be the route it's going. I mean, this entire console may have come from a necessity of seeing where VR is going to go and seeing like, oh, we need something powerful to run this HoloLens. So we might see a something regarding like, oh yeah, this is so powerful it can run Minecraft finally. And
bigger blocks.
Like I said, if we'll probably get another rise of some sort and just something to show, the power of the console. But if we don't, and this is, I think we're going to get one or two of those. But what I'm hoping at least is maybe at least to shake it up, we see some HoloLens stuff, and we see something that, like the fact that it has the power to run that better than like how PlayStation 4 runs its VR, which takes a considerable downturn in graphics.
Right. Before I ask the two others about this, do we think that software-wise we're going to be in the same boat as the PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation 4, where games that you purchase will work on both, or do we think there's going to be software exclusively for the Scorpio? Felicia, you answer that one.
I don't know. I mean, my first reaction, like my gut reaction, is yes. Just because I think that might give some incentive for people to kind of make the switch to it. Because it seems like Xbox is really invested in this. But then again, they also keep doing this kind of dance where they're like, but Xbox One is still going to be relevant. And they keep reassuring people that this is, just like the PS4 Pro, they're still going to keep the original console in mind. So I'm kind of on the fence about it.
Gotcha. Sharif?
Now, I thought they had announced that there would be no exclusive Scorpio games. That's what I thought that they said. Now, obviously, they could go back on it, but my assumption was that, at least as of now, that it was, it was going to run Xbox One games and that it was going to improve, I believe, all Xbox One games. So it wasn't going to be like how with the PS4, you have to go in and actually update the code of the game to take advantage of, of the updated resources of the Pro. From the way I read the Foundry the Eurogamer article, things like frame rates and and like stability and load times and stuff would be approved across the board. Obviously, the devs will have to go in to add like lighting to take advantage of HDR and that kind of stuff. But so I'm not anticipating any exclusive Scorpio games at all. But I don't think they need them at launch, because I think that the difference between people playing native 4K games at that frame rate, I think is so enormous that will be enough. If they say, yo, here's like a a proper Master Chief compilation that actually works. Right? Here's like, you know, a like enhanced version of like Gears 4. Here's Forza. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that a lot of people that have 4K TVs now haven't really seen a lot of native 4K content because
that's very true.
Because there's nothing broadcasting on TV in it. Yeah, you know, there's that demo stuff that like ships with it, and there's a few like 4K kind of Blu-rays and that kind of stuff, but you know, people have not. I think people have these, and they have sort of these upscaled experiences. And I know that there's a few things on the Pro that I think are like actually native kind of 4K, but I think once people see it, and like it'll be tough because they'll pretty much have to probably go into like Best Buy or Walmart or something and actually see it on one of those TVs. I think even if it's not a new exclusive game, I think the type of target audience that I believe that they're going after, which are these sort of enthusiast tech gamers, that like they'll be like, yo, I'm in.
right.
You know?
Got it. Lee?
So yeah, I don't think it needs launch like a specific launch title to run with this thing for it to be successful. Like I don't think it needs something exclusive. But it does need it. Xbox point blank period, whether the Scorpio is out this year or not, is going to need some sort of uplifting in their software department, whether it comes from within, or if they outsource and get some sort of first party IP. Although we know how that goes with them, it hasn't really gone well when they go out and get, you know, something like a Platinum Games and try to do Scalebound, and then it gets canceled halfway through. I don't know what happened there, but they don't seem to have a problem with giving us Forza games every year, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with Forza, but at some point, you know, you're kind of Forza'd out, and you're like, all right, I get it. There's a new Forza engine. This looks beautiful. Like, I don't think Forza is the proper tech demo for the Scorpio because the game already looked great. So I think you need to give me something else aside from, you know, Rise and Master Chief Collection looking great. I need something else for me to buy into it because although we already know that the core Xbox heads are going to go ahead and get this thing, especially the ones that this particular Scorpio is catering to, they're going to go ahead and get it. They don't really need to be sold any more than they already have with the tech specs. But I think in order for Xbox to make a statement, they also need to show love all around to the whole, you know, Xbox One S and, you know, Project Scorpio as well, and show off some software that, of course, looks great on Project Scorpio, but is also like a great game as well. And I don't know if they found the sweet spot for that yet. I haven't heard much coming out from there, but just because they've been quiet doesn't mean they don't have anything. I guess I'm just anxious to hear what it is that they have lined up, because if again, my fear is that they've been quiet for this whole time because they don't have anything to show yet. I know that's not true, or it may not be true, but if Phil Spencer comes up there and what they have is an exclusive Battlefront 2 tech demo or something up there, like, that's going to look cool, but that's also an experience that you can have in other platforms. And I think in order for them to really sell this thing past just that core group that's going to buy it, they need to have some selling points, and that's going to be exclusive software. I think that's where they're going to get that.
Understood. Anybody watching the show, be sure to hit the comment section. Let us know what you think. If we don't catch it during this stream of the QuickTime event, we'll talk about it on the podcast because we record on Sundays. But we're interested to see what the viewers think about this as well. But all right, so we only have so much information to operate with, of course. But I think the last question would be this: do we feel like where do we think the next consoles, or will there be future consoles? Where do we think this Scorpio puts us? What position does it put us in? Like, is this going to be the next console for Microsoft for like the next for years or so. Is the PlayStation 4 the same situation for them? Do we expect to see some kind of new announcement 2 years later, or is this really going to be a game changer for the console market? Sharif?
I don't think it'll be a game changer. I think that the Pro isn't selling like gangbusters. So I think that this is like usually when I see them referred to, it's a mid generation refresh, and I think that's how it will be treated. So I think that we're still going to see a PS5 and an Xbox, whatever, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line after these. I am not a subscriber that this will be the last console you get and the casual users are going to be swapping in parts and all that kind of stuff. I just don't see that happening. But I do think that the demand for bigger and better experiences are going to keep on coming up. And I think that, these hardware divisions, they need products. They always need new products, like most consumer electronics companies, right? So like they're going to need to keep releasing hardware. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing about the PS5 in a few years. I don't think that these consoles are like new consoles really, because they still are pretty much compatible with the entire previous kind of library. I know the PS4 Pro doesn't have any exclusives, and I believe the Scorpio will probably be the same. By the way, I hate calling it the Scorpio. I wish I knew the name by now. I think these are still going to be mid-generation refreshes and not necessarily going to last us for the length of a new console cycle.
Gotcha. Russell?
I really think that, well, going back kind of also the previous one, but I think that making exclusive games for the Scorpio, definitely at launch, would be suicide on that. Like, I think they would get hell raised by the media for already trying to switch out consoles. And I think I've gone. I mean, I do subscribe to the fact that this is probably the last gen, at least for Microsoft. I think PlayStation could definitely release a PlayStation 5. I think they've still got the momentum. They just don't have the need right now. But I don't think Xbox could call this their next generation console. That's why I don't think we're gonna get anything exclusive. We're just gonna get it'll be like a weird version of backwards compatibility where the branding and everything stays the same to Xbox One. And like I said, I think Microsoft sees that the game is going to be changed in the future in terms of PC gaming, and since they are Microsoft, they're getting ahead of that. They're gonna try to nestle in on that. I think this is the last gen. This is definitely not gonna be the last Xbox One. I mean, there's gonna be a place for the console for a while, but we're not gonna see a new console. We're not gonna see a new exclusive. No Xbox 2. We're gonna have the Scorpio one for a little bit, but
Scorpio one,
yeah. But I don't think this is like the next generation the same way that we've seen the jump from like PS3 to PS4 and Xbox, Xbox to 360 to one to wait. Did I forget how to count, or is it just dumb?
it's just dumb. What about you, Lee?
So, I mean, I don't think that this is the last time we're going to see like new consoles from either party. And the main reason I believe that is because they're selling hardware. So I don't think they would shoot themselves in the foot and put themselves in a position where they can't sell you something new. Whether that new hardware is going to give you some sort of better, specs or anything like that. I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like, but, I think that consoles might see themselves going to a point where it's like Samsung and iPhone, and they're kind of just like giving you new experiences all throughout kind of like a similar space. They want to sell you hardware. I mean, this is the reason why Xbox is coming out with the Scorpio. This is the reason why PS4 has the Pro. They're selling you hardware. That's where Microsoft is going to hopefully make some money on this. Not that PlayStation needs to make any extra money because they have a lot of exclusives and all this other stuff, but they're also not going to say no to that option when it makes sense. That's the important part, when it makes sense. It's not like they're just going to come out a year from now and say PS5 is coming out and, you know, launch that thing in 2 years. I mean, they're going to see when it makes sense. Usually the timetable is like 3 to 4 years-ish. They're going to start talking about new stuff at that point. Now we're kind of at a weird position where games kind of don't really need uplifting for the most part. Because I know we're talking about 4K stuff, but a lot of people don't own 4K TVs. So like that is almost non-existent for the moment.
Yeah, premium market.
Yeah, so like 1080p is like the thing now. And that's not really a tough thing to attain anymore. Except if you're Microsoft, that's kind of difficult. But for PlayStation, at least, it seems like they can do that in most of their games. And you'll start to see that happen more and more. And I think that with the 4K stuff, it's just them kind of catering to fans that have been asking for that stuff. And I don't know if PlayStation and Xbox are confused by the market or by social media, because a lot of people ask questions like, does this have 4K, as if they can really run this stuff? Like as if they have the TV to run this thing.
Right.
So they're asking for these specs, and they're asking for more teraflops, and they're asking for better CPU power when they probably don't really need it. And I think that the demand is so high from like a social media and reviewer perspective that they're thinking like, hey, maybe we do need that. Maybe there is a space for these things to live alongside our base models. So I don't know if they're going to come out with tier packages in the future. I don't know how this thing is going to look, but I guess the success of the PS4 Pro and the Xbox Scorpio is going to probably might shape that in the future. I can see that happening, but I don't think this is the last stop like for either party.
Gotcha. Felicia?
I mean, I agree with Lee on that one. It has a lot to do with people asking for things that I don't think we necessarily need right now. And I think it's just a lot of hype behind it. And similar to cell phones, it's like we're getting these mid models, as they call them, or whatever, mid-tier platforms. And, you know, me, myself, I played primarily PC, but before I played PC, I usually stuck with my base model for years. And, you know, they would come out with like the more gigabytes or what have you. And I wouldn't entertain that idea. And I know a lot of people similar to me that are, you know, they just stick with what they got. I mean, I do get hype when they announce this stuff and I do ride the hype train, but am I dishing out that money? Am I trading in my system? No, not really. I know there's people who do, though. I know there's people, whenever a new iPhone comes out, they're at the fucking store trading in their phone to get it. There's a space for it. There's definitely a market for it. I really have no idea what the future holds for it. I don't think it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to revolutionize anything. I don't know if this is where it ends, if people are going to start upgrading their consoles, if consoles are going to start, you know, being able to, you know, buy a new graphics processor and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think that's going to be the case because people buy consoles for that reason. They like the convenience factor.
True.
Yeah.
True. It would be really awesome if Microsoft could find a way to bring that convenience into an upgradable system or framework or something like that. But I don't know. I think we're at least one more console away from reaching that reality. But I agree with everything that y'all said. I'm for one very glad that the Scorpio is basically just going to be a premium version of the Xbox One, because I don't think you were part of the chat, but I talked to Katie about it and B Will, another friend of the show. We're just now getting into the PlayStation 4's prime as far as software goes. And I feel like this is a good spot where these developers know what they're doing with the console, and they have the option to make something that looks a lot more better on the Pro, but they don't have to completely learn a new system, basically. So the Scorpio, I guess, is going to be the same situation. They don't have to learn an entirely new system. Now, we can't say that the Xbox is in a prime right now when it comes to software, sadly. it seems like it's kind of in a bit of a drought as far as exclusives go. But they do have some things on the horizon. Sea of Thieves. There's probably going to be another Halo announced sometime soon. We should get the next mainstay Forza game as well. So I think it's going to be a very good thing for the console. I really think these consoles have a lot more life. And just like Lee pointed out, 4K isn't a common thing yet. So they have these next few years for that to become more of a reality, become more common. People start picking it up where it's not the premium thing. It's actually the thing that everybody has. If it gets to that point, we hope it might not even reach that point in the next couple of years, but I'm thinking it's a better opportunity for it. But anybody have any last statements on the Scorpio before we shut it down? Lee?
Nothing other than the fact that I just hope it does. I hope Microsoft does this right. I also want to let people know that to just give it a chance, because if Microsoft fails and they run out of chances, we could see the market kind of sort of be monopolized a little bit, and that isn't always a great thing. So I know that there's a console war, and although that's fun, it's only fun when there's competition. When there's no competition, then that kind of gets a little screwy. So we want it to do well, and that's kind of the general message here, is that although we're not sold on it, I'm not sold on it 100% yet, I still want to see what this thing can offer and what Microsoft has to offer for the Xbox console, period. I think that's the bigger statement here, is that if they're willing to invest money in a premium console, then maybe they still have faith in this thing, and maybe they have some things that they feel strongly about enough to go ahead and pour money into this and, any future endeavors for Xbox. So some call it a desperation move. We'll see if it is. Yeah, we'll see in June. I don't know what else to say about it.
Word. Russell, final statement.
I'm just really glad that they're finally getting rid of the headphone jack. Then I can't wait to listen to everything on Bluetooth. Realistically, I mean, we've beaten around it, but it's a premium market thing. I don't think it's going to affect gaming that much. I think it'll be almost a quick buck, and as time goes on, you can get cheaper and cheaper, and then it can get a little bit more of an install base just as the new version. And then 4 years down the line, we'll get the. I'm trying to think what the natural evolution of a Scorpion would be, and I'm coming up blank.
I mean, we could just go with all Spider-Man villains at this point.
Oh yeah.
Xbox Electro. All right, Shocker.
I like Shocker a lot.
Nice.
With
Nice.
the color
Xbox
scheme to
Shocker
match.
fingers right at your butt and takes your money out.
Yeah, with the color scheme to match.
Why you're keeping it there, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Word. Sharif, final word.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad to see Microsoft out there confident and consistent, which I think is something they're still battling after dropping the Xbox One with some of the most inconsistent messaging, probably right after the Wii U in terms of marketing a video game console. So yeah, I'm glad to see them bounce back. I do believe in what was said before. Healthy competition is the best. And yeah, I can't wait to see what they do. I mean, I'm not in the target market for it because I prefer to game on the PC, and with Xbox Anywhere, I can play, the game, the big Microsoft games that I want to play.
Right.
I hope that it succeeds, and and I'm looking forward to see Microsoft at E3.
Word. I'm in the same boat. I'm all about the PC gaming, but I did get Forza Horizon 2 for PC, and I'm probably gonna get Halo Wars 2 as well. But I just like what Lee said, like what Lee said, competition is better overall for the industry. Felicia, final words.
Yeah, I agree. I think competition is good. I'm pretty excited just because the general temperature of gaming right now seems to be really exciting. It seems like all the consoles are finding their niche, and they're kind of, they're not trying to be like each other anymore. They're kind of just like saying fuck it, and they're doing their own thing, and it looks like it's working. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what E3 is going to bring. I'm hoping I can get my hands on a Scorpio and play it on the showroom floor.
Heck yeah. A lot of us are gonna be there for that, so we'll probably run into each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gonna be
I'll be there.
I will as well. And Felicia, I think you've got the green light to go, right?
Yes.
Got you. What about Lee, Russell, potentially?
I probably will be going.
Okay, sweet. Russell?
I'm still buying those GTX Titans, so I can't afford it. Got three of them glued together.
I mean, your Titan
It's a lot of
might be able to fly you there. You can fly there on a Titan X.
And with those, I mean, you could just get an HTC Vive and just VR yourself there.
But then I don't get to tell people that I have 3 GTX Titans.
This is true. That is the whole point of having them at this point.
The sound of when panties hit the floor after I say that is priceless.
Word. One more thing for you, Russell. Do you think this is going to be the E3 where Ape Escape is announced, man? You think it's finally time?
Every year, I believe. Every year, there's new reasons to believe. Yeah, I think that we're going to get it. But for the Scorpio,
do not.
If it is exclusive for Scorpio, watch me buy it. Watch me.
That's a console seller right there.
The dream is real. Alive. Keep it alive. The team is in meeting.
Word. Thank you all for joining. It was a blast to discuss it. I think we got a lot of good notes to take from this. Anybody listening, I hope thank you for watching for one, and be sure to hit the comment section and hit the subscribe button as well, because we'll be doing quick time events for any big gaming news as it happens. But also hit Coins to Continue on the Blind Box Network and listen to the podcast. Check out Spawn on Me, which features Sharif and his cohorts, also friends of the show, and his Gaming Looks Good content. Lee, where can everyone find you?
In a whole bunch of places, unfortunately. Twitter is mostly where it's at. YouTube as well. What is RP2G?
Right.
Yeah, that's where you can find, and actually all our handles and everything on social media is the same. So you'll find all that stuff there.
All right, cool. Russell, where can they find you?
You can follow me at the Chipotle on Bitters. Follow me home. Now, listen, I've got a podcast. It's the Post-Apocalypse. It's a mess. We talk about video game things, and then we're also deciding what Batman is the best one. Who's better, George Clooney's Batman or Will Arnett's Batman? Spoilers: it's not George Clooney.
Damn. Word. And Felicia has her Twitter, Felicia Vagabond, at Felicia Vagabond. And we have the Coins to Continue Twitter as well, at Coins2Continue. But thanks again, and we will see you all next time. Peace out.
Bye.